All right. Hey, friends, Peggy Hall back with you, streaming live. Today, it's Monday. It's September 25th, 2023. And I want to share with you a few more very creepy things about. All right. Hey, friends, Peggy Hall back with you, streaming. Let me cue that up for you. There are a lot of nicknames for this individual. I like to call him Joshy. I call him Green Deal, DEW, and of course, Green New Deal, because he is all about the sustainable development, the resiliency. He is one of the puppets for the United Nations. And I've brought you many videos about that. And you've asked me for more detail about his background. What I'm going to share with you is pretty creepy. And I want to thank you, my lovely, healthy Americans. Several of you have sent me links, some background digging that you've done as well. And I'm going to be sharing more of that in the coming videos this week. In fact, today I want to give you 3 videos and we'll talk about Joshy. I want you to understand these serpents. Yes, that's the phrase that I've coined, the public serpents, because they're serving evil. I want you to understand their background so that you can connect the clots, as I like to say, and we'll see. And I'm going to do a continuing deep dive on him throughout this week because there's so much to cover in terms of his very creepy background. I'll just start to reveal that for you in a moment. So I definitely want to thank all of you that are sending me information on that. I spend my waking hours and mainly I'm awake because I just have so much that I want to cover with you, doing my research and preparing for these videos. The second video I'm going to do for you today is an update on my legal action. A lot of you really enjoyed the video, if I can use the word enjoy. You liked the video that I did saying, no, Governor, you can't do that, where I pointed out the really egregious actions of the New Mexico governor, of course, the California governor. We're seeing what's going on in Hawaii and in other states as well. And my lawsuit has a lot to do with that. So I want to bring you up to date. There is another hearing next month and it's been a long haul and many of you have been asking me, so I'll do that. And then the third video that I have for you today is actually, let me share my screen and I'm going to show you that it is let me click here. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, don't need to do that. Here we go. We're hopping over to my second channel on YouTube, and this is it. It's called Living Swell with Peggy Hall. And many of you are there. I would love to see you on Mondays. I do a live stream or a premiere live stream, meaning I've recorded something for you previously, but it's aired where everybody can interact in the chat. And that is at 11 a.m. Pacific every Monday. I've got over 300 videos for you, all about really encouragement, emotional, mental, physical, spiritual, to help you keep your head above the waves in these stormy seas of life. We don't talk that much about current events, but they do intersect in terms of how do you keep going? How do you stand your ground? How do you have the hard conversations? How do you forgive people? And that was my topic for today. So what I'm going to do is actually, you can see it here. What I'm going to do is play that for you as my third video, so you can just watch that if you're interested, or go right on over to the channel. So I want to begin to broaden my broadcasting on some of these other topics that so many of you are asking me about. You are feeling burdened, overwhelmed, like the world is on your shoulders. You can see what's going on. A lot of your family members can't. And it's very psychologically devastating for you to go through this. So I want to help you keep your ground, stand your ground, feel more balanced, stable, have that perseverance and determination and optimism, in fact, as we go ahead. So that's what I've got for you. Let's do this. Let's dive right in to the creepy things about Josh Green Do Deal. Some of you have called him Slosh. I think that's pretty funny because he's sloshing the hogwash, isn't he? So here's what I am going to share with you. And let's take a look here. Yes, I'm going to show you another BandAid, the BandAid Caper. So he loves these BandAids. Many of you were so kind to follow up on my request to contact his office and ask, what's up with the BandAids? All right, I've done several videos about his BandAids. I've got little kind of tongue-in-cheek one, sort of a snarky one about these ridiculous Band-Aids. And what we were told by his office is that it's an inside joke, an insider joke. I think that's childish. It's despicable. I think that it is bordering on evil because, as many of you have said, there might be some kind of bloodletting, I don't know, ritual or something going on there. So that's kind of bizarre. And this is an article from a year ago, about a year and a half ago. And I took it off this Weekly Herald. It's actually a newspaper in Pennsylvania, of all places. So I'm going to read you some of the highlights here. And I want you to notice that he is a Steelers fan. He has a picture here of 32. And for those of you that are up on the symbolism, the numbers, the gestures that these evildoers, flash in front of us, you'll see that that has some significance as well. So I want to read to you the highlights where he himself is going to tell you about his background, about his mother. Well, we'll just get to that in a moment. Before we do that, I want to share a very brief video that he published yesterday, and it's the update in terms of what's going on Maui in Lahaina. So many of you have asked me for continuing coverage on that. So they really, and by they, I mean the public serpents, have been in hiding. There have not been the press concerts, as I call them, where they're performing and answering these questions that have been basically given to them in advance. There haven't been that many. The mayor is basically in hiding. The mayor, Bisson, is missing. And he has not had any press concerts whereby he takes questions from the press at large. He has had a couple of scripted interviews, and those are very troubling. I've also covered that on my channel. And he put together an advisory board of a handful of people in Lahaina that he has hand-selected to help him steer the redevelopment. And this is going to lead into an upcoming video on the Delphi technique, whereby you have your decision in advance, and then you have community members that are going to be promoting that predetermined. I'm just giving you a real short version of this. They come up with a predetermined decision, but they make it look like it was an organic discussion. And then there is at least one or more individuals there that are trying to mold the discussion and say, well, I already took all of the written information and this is what people want. And it is a very underhanded technique to move ahead on these agendas when it's not exactly what the people want. So I'm going to be analyzing that in great detail as these committee meetings and everything becomes public. So that's what's going on there. Let's take a look. It's just a very short video. I don't think you need the vomit bucket, although I always have mine handy. And so let me share my screen. This is on his Twitter page. And here we go. I will enlarge this as you have asked. Let's make sure that sound is up. Let me give you the whole picture. Yeah, this is just over a minute. And let's see if we can detect any Band-Aids. All right. Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Day 47 since the Maui fire crisis occurred. I've been crisscrossing the country to get resources for us from east to west, and we will make sure we rise again. As of now, we still are at 97 fatalities, 89 people have been identified, and we have 15 outstanding investigations. So we're getting closer to knowing the full scope of our loss. We have 7,782 individuals across 40 hotels, and that represents about 3,167 families. We'll gradually move people into long-term rentals so they can be more comfortable, but we will provide housing for at least 18 months for everyone, and we'll build. We'll build with the blessing of the people of Lahaina, and we'll build around the town also to support people in their housing needs. Beyond that, I can tell you we will have $100 million of temporary assistance for needy families monies to go to the families who are displaced. I expect also to form this fund, which will help to support those who had the ultimate loss and lost a loved one. Again, there's so many things to share. Finally, the president did approve our request to pay 100% of the debris removal over 6 months, and that should accelerate the removal of the debris, and we'll make sure that people have a chance to go to their properties starting on Monday to get closure. So again, mahalo for healing and supporting the people. Aloha, everyone.
Oops. Okay. All right, friends, we're going to listen to that again. I wanted you to hear it uninterrupted, and I'd like you to watch again, and we'll just use this as a critical thinking exercise. Can you notice his facial gestures, his expressions? He seems to close his eyes a lot. So that would be something else that you could write the governor's office and ask. Does he have some vision problems? Did he have a stroke? Does he have some sort of problem that is not going to allow him, aside from the psychological problems and the lack of values in ethics and morals, does he have some kind of problem, which is why he's always closing his eyes? Just let them know that it's very concerning. And the reason why I want you to do this is, number one, I really would like the governor's office to hear from a lot of people. And I would like to find out what is wrong with him. He should get the kind of care and attention that he needs. And I also want the office to know that we are watching everything he does, his facial expressions, his gestures, all the numbers that he's using, his emotion or lack of emotion. All right. The second thing is, look at how many numbers he throws out there. Now, you may be saying, of course he's doing that, Peggy. It's an update. People want to know exactly how many people and how much money and how much time. That may be true. And using a lot of numbers is a way of actually mesmerizing and manipulating people's minds. This is where your brain is trying to calculate, okay, there's 97 people. Did he say that they were lost or they were there? And you actually are not even really hearing what he's saying because your thinking mind is now calculating everything. So look at just the sheer amount of numbers that he is spewing. I think that's kind of troubling. And then actually, let's look at some of those numbers. He sure likes his sixes, doesn't he? And then we'll look at the content, actually, what it is he is saying. So when I do my analysis of these kinds of things, I take everything in: the body language, the emotion, lack of emotion, what he's saying, how he's saying it, what exactly is included in the content, what's being left out. All right. It's just a little bit more than a minute. So we'll do one more of these and I'll share my screen, and that way I can play uninterrupted. Let's see if that is still, whoops, I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. Hopefully I'm able to get that back up again. Okay. Like I say, here we are live. And that is something that I did want to play for you, is that, or that I do want to share with you, is that document that I just had up on the screen. Okay. Friends, I'm not quite sure why my computer is hiding these screens from me. So I think maybe it had something to do with me sharing my screen. I'm not sure. I'm not sharing now, but I guess I'm not able to play it for you. God protected us by not having you sit through that again. I will have a link for you. You can watch it again if you like. I'll tell you my takeaway. Again, void of emotion. He actually sounds like he has a sore throat, a little cold or something. I think that all of this lying and cheating and the evil is getting to him. I mean, I hope that this would get to the people. And that's why I believe that the cheat of police and the fire chief and the, Missin, Mayor Bisson, I think they're all flying under the radar now, because it actually is taking its toll of trying to continue to lie to the people. And we're not falling for it. We continue to shine the light and to expose their evil deeds. So I saw the fatigue. I saw him close his eyes several times. It's very strange. I don't know if that is some type of hypnotic gesture or mind manipulation, but it is disturbing. And then the onslaught of numbers, again, you can watch that on your own. But what struck me was the content. He said, "We will rise again." I'll have to bring this to you in an upcoming video as well. The state seal of Hawaii has a phoenix at the bottom rising from the ashes. I think that's very interesting. The original state seal, when Hawaii first became a state, if you know what I mean, there's a lot of controversy over that. Let me know if you'd like a deep dive on the history of Hawaii. I can bring that to you. The state seal was changed over a few years when they first became a state, and that phoenix was added. The phoenix is the rising from the ashes. So I thought that was very strange that he's using that. And then he said, we are going to rebuild, and we are going to build outside of Lahaina, around Lahaina. And that's where they're going to be putting this affordable housing, or the workforce housing, as they call it. So that was just a little sneak peek. And what I really wanted to bring to you was this information that I got from this report that came from a Pittsburgh newspaper. And again, just get all of my notes here for you, friends. Okay, so I showed you the picture of creepy Josh Green do deal. And I showed you he's got the Steelers. And then correct me if I'm wrong, friends, but I think that it is 322 is the Skull and Bones, which is one of the secret societies from Yale. And that is literally the Skull and Bones. And so that I just could be a coincidence, but I also think it's interesting. What troubles me now, he is not, many things trouble me. He's not Hawaiian. He's been on the islands for a little more than 20 years. He was sent there by the federal government after he finished his medical school. He went on a program called the National Medical Corps. It's kind of like the Peace Corps. Like I went in the Peace Corps. I went to Morocco. I taught English. Although my schooling and my loans were not dismissed, apparently when these medical corps people go out, they have either all or a large portion of their loans taken care of by you and me, the taxpayers. So he joined this and they sent him to Maui, but I think there's more to it than that. I don't think it was just a coinky-dink, as the saying goes. But if he came to Maui, and he did, and he worked as an MD, actually not Maui, but it's called the island of Hawaii, Hawaii Island, also known as the Big Island. He was there for several years in a rural area. And then he became a state representative for 4 years. And then he was a state senator in the state of Hawaii, not going to DC, but within the state government for 10 years. And then he became the lieutenant governor. And that's when he orchestrated all of the, shutdowns and the suffocation devices and the pincushion requirements, all of that in Hawaii. He was behind it as lieutenant governor. And that's where he is, right there in the lieutenant governor's office. This interview happened while he was running for governor. And now, of course, he's the governor. Wouldn't you think that he would, and maybe I'm off base here, but this is the Steelers stealing the land, stealing the islands. Maybe it's just a coincidence. All right, I will read to you, don't need to share the screen, but I will read to you some of the highlights here. It says that he is an Edgeworth native. Josh Green shows his Steeler pride in the lieutenant governor's office. Actually, I will show you a couple more photos here. So from Pittsburgh, and then also, I believe his background, his family is from Massachusetts. So there he is. That's pretty funny, coming right out of his head. Some of you are asking about this flag. That is the state flag of Hawaii. And yes, that is the British Union Jack. I have not been able to get a definitive answer as to why they have that. Research showed, and again, I have no way of verifying it, but what I saw was that they were, the islands at one time wanted to be controlled by the British and then wanted to be controlled by the French. And so they had these other flags as a part of their state. I don't really know if that's the case or not, but I think it is a little unusual. And he loves to wear his scrubs. There's his family. And, oh, that's interesting. I know sometimes people get their picture taken and their eyes are closed, but her eyes are closed. I just noticed that. So maybe it's just something in their family. They close their eyes a lot. I don't know. This is supposed to be him as a little kid. And there he is again as a little kid. All right, let me now read to you some of these eye-opening, creepy things from this story. This is a year ago. When Joshi is not leading Hawaii's cooties relief efforts, I'm not sharing anymore. Okay. Being a doctor in emergency rooms or addressing constituents' concerns in the Aloha State, he ponders the future of his beloved Pittsburgh Steelers. All right. Then he said, yes, I'm living in Hawaii and I may become the next governor. Okay. Are you ready? But my blood is black and gold. Okay. I don't follow football. I can surmise that the colors are black and gold. Maybe it's an expression. You can educate me on that people say their blood is the color of the team that they support. That's a little bit strange. All right. So he was elected lieutenant governor in 2018. And the reporter says his office is decked out in Steelers memorabilia, including a Franco Harris autographed terrible towel. I don't even know what that means. And then he says, are you ready? 3 Super Bowls, 2 wins. Can you do the math? 3 times 2, that's another 6. I'm going to go there, friends. One thing that's very important to understand is that the serpents, the evildoers, the bad guys, the puppet masters and their puppets, they speak in code. They infuse it into their writing, into their communication, into their speeches, into their insignias, into their gestures. They will use codes and numbers and words and colors. I'm not an expert in all of that, but I do look at things carefully with an eagle eye. And I caught this again that he said, and you may say, well, Peggy, they did win 3 Super Bowls. Okay, why does this article talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers when it should be about his campaign for governor? So here we are, 3 Super Bowls, 2 wins. All right, that's 3 times 2 is 6. And then 18 years, he says. Now, I was an English teacher, not a math teacher, but I believe that there are 3 6s make up 18. So he just continues to talk all about San Francisco 49ers, Joe Montana, Kansas City. Okay, here's where we want to go. He was born, Green New Deal was born in upstate New York to John and Natasha Green. That is a Russian name, and her maiden name is Soroka, and I'm going to be doing a deep dive on that thanks to some of the Healthy American researchers that have been helping me dig deeper. They moved to Edgeworth in Pennsylvania shortly after Josh turned 1. His grandfather is the late Sam Green, who moved to Ambridge in 1920 and ran Green Engineering Company, which grew to become Green International, an international consulting and engineering company with operations and projects on 4 continents. Natasha Soroka Green was named the Sewickley Herald Woman of the Year in 1984 for her humanitarian work, which includes the National Organization of Women. All right, hardcore feminist. Okay, need to see if it's this article or a different one, but also I think it was his grandfather ran, wait for it, Planned Parenthood. All right, this is the background of Joshi. He said, I had an incredible upbringing. I had all of the nice breaks along the way. Okay, he was a tennis player, blah, blah, blah. We remained friends. After 33 years of, okay, this is so weird. He's talking about, I have remained friends with my coach Klein from tennis. And then they go on to talk about Coach Klein. 69, there's the 6s again, retired in 2015 after 33 years of teaching. What does that have anything to do with this background on Joshi Green New Deal, other than to insert the number 33, which is the 33 degree of the Freemasons, which is a secret society, not so secret, and they are in politics, in entertainment, in music, in banking, in every major industry. The Freemasons are in that, especially policemen, firemen, and sheriffs. So it's interesting that they inserted that number 33, which has nothing to do with the story. And then they say that Klein retired after 29 coaching sessions. 9 and 2 is 11. That's one more of their numbers. I don't know why they like 11. If some of you know, please let me know. But think about 9, 11, and other things. In fact, the video that I just shared with you earlier, it was broadcast at 11:11, that one from Joshy. So, and then they start talking about Klein living with his, it's not even that very, it's not that important to this story. Okay. After returning to Pittsburgh for 3 years for his residency, Green New Deal joined the National Health Service Corps, which repays loans for students who commit to serving in underserved areas. Green was assigned to the Big Island, Hawaii, and the locals there tell me they don't like that name. They call it Hawaii Island, where there was no doctor for more than 1,000 square miles. He served for 4 years in the southernmost part of the island. Then he was elected to the State of Representatives and then as a state senator. He was named Hawaii Physician of the Year and Hawaii Legislator of the Year in 2013. Okay, now there's one other thing that I want to read to you, another story here all about the Green New Deal. And I have to say, friends, I am sorry that my windows are not that organized here. Let me do this. I'm going to share a little sneak peek of more to come. All right, we'll just call it part 1 on his creepy background. One of my lovely healthy Americans has been doing some deep digging, and you know about this Mountain Dew because I've brought it to you in the past. Others have done so as well. I do have an Instagram channel, and there I have some memes where I broke down some of this. Take a look at this is Mountain Dew in 2020, and then 2021, 2022, and 2023. Look at the colors. The blue and the yellow we've seen a lot in the footage of Lahaina. And then when I showed you the footage from Morocco, we saw this kind of, what would you call that? A fuchsia color, or I'm not quite sure, this magenta, is that it? This kind of purpley color along with that blue. And I showed you that a lot of these colors as well in the Moroccan footage, which to me, it looked like some of those items were staged for the photos. I'm not saying that the earthquake was staged, but I will be bringing you more coverage on that as well, friends, because that was not normal earthquake behavior in my estimation, having lived and living in a state with earthquakes. So here's what's interesting. This is the analysis from Healthy American Steve, and I've got much more that I want to share with you, but let me increase the screen a little bit here. Let's see if I guess that's not going to go any bigger. Okay, I will point it out here. There is a bandaged mummy. And remember, Joshy Green New Deal likes to wear his Band-Aids. So he's got bandages all over him. He's bald with a little bit of a mohawk, sort of like Joshy has a little bit. And he's wearing a necklace. It's a little hard to see in this image, but it says MD on it, ostensibly for Mountain Dew. But Josh has the MD because he's always talking about that as the governor. So I thought that was rather interesting as well. I will wrap up for here, friends. Tomorrow, I'm going to be bringing you part 2 of Josh Green, because let me finish up with this little bit here from Honolulu Magazine. All right. Let me share this. Okay, here he is, Honolulu Magazine. And this was in, I'm not seeing a date of this. I will try to find that for you. This is where there's a few more creepy things that come out about this guy. Number one, he really should get another blazer. I mean, if he's going to be on TV a lot. All right. I know I'm poking fun because he deserves it. Okay. He says that, okay. Green took cues from the very strong women figures in my life, he said. I will have to bring this to you tomorrow, friends. Yeah, his mother was national organization for women, like one of the local organizers. And then it's either his grandmother or grandfather. One of those individuals were in running Planned Parenthood. We're going to dig in a little bit more about his mom working for the USAID, Agency for International Development. Now, I don't know if it's his mother, although she is of Russian descent, but there are those that will work in covert operations in some of these agencies, and that's their cover story. I'm going to keep digging, friends. I don't think it's a coincidence that he landed in Hawaii, and I certainly don't think it's a coincidence that he is overseeing the rebuilding of this very important part of Hawaii, because Lahaina was the royal, basically it was the royal capital of the entire islands, and it was a very sacred place for the people. So I want to keep bringing you this coverage as long as you're interested in learning about it. Thank you, friends. We had a few technical glitches today. I'll get those cleared up in the replay. So if you want to watch it a second time, it'll be smoother sailing. Stick with me. I've got another video for you where I want to bring you some updates on my lawsuit. There's some good news coming out of California. And then I will leave you with that special replay about what I've got on my other channel, and that is instead of forgiveness. If you're finding it difficult to forgive those that have wronged you, I've got some tips that I hope will be helpful. All right. Thanks so much, friends, for being with me this afternoon, and I'll be right back with you in the very next broadcast.